Hello everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I have my second round of my TBR game called TBR Trouble. If you are new to my channel and you do not know what my TBR Trouble is, it is basically the TBR game that I have to create my TBR. TBR games have been a trend, and so this is the one that I created recently. I did have an old one, but out with the old and in with the new. So this is the one that I started last month in the month of March. So before we get into the fun part, which is the roles, I first wanted to talk about some updates and some changes to the game, as well as talk to you guys about the updates for my reading that I was required from the rules last month. So let's just start with the updates on my game. So I first want to say thank you so much to everyone who has been supporting my last video and seemed to really enjoy it. So thank you so much for all of your comments. You guys have been giving me some feedback, and so I wanted to do some updates of it, and I kind of updated it a little bit more in a way that I like. So let's just get into those. The first thing I want to talk about is the roles with adding another role or another book into the TBR. So I will still be doing these 6 basic roles, but I'm going to make it so that every time I get the same number 3 times, then I will add a role versus 2 times, because it's just more likely to get it if you have 2 versus 3. So every 3 times I get a roll, I will add on another book. It doesn't have to be 3 times in a row, it just has to be 3 times. But once I do hit those numbers 3 times, if I get the number again, then we'll have to wait until get another 3 times. If that kind of makes sense, hopefully it does. So that is the first update. The next thing I want to talk about are these 4 gray spaces on the board. So basically what I did last month and what I will still continue is to use these as like a roll again. So I will be rolling again if I land on it, but I will still include the first and then the second roll for the numbers, just so that way, I don't know, I just figured that would just be the easiest, because I still technically did roll the first one even if it did land me on the roll again. Now I'm still going to keep the 4 original colors as their genres. So we have the red is still going to be contemporary romance, green is still going to be other, so anything that I do not mention, yellow is going to still be fantasy, and blue is still going to be classics. I wanted to kind of make it a little bit more fun than just rolling it. I wanted to do something more than having to read the genre and then pull up a prompt and fit it that way, because even though that was really fun last month and I really enjoyed it, I wanted to kind of bring it more of a different aspect to it. And I actually saw someone comment this idea. I don't remember who it was, but I will try to put it up on the screen, so thank you. I kind of took it and ran with it in a little bit of a different way. So they suggested that actually on every peg that I number it and then kind of like have a list, and that's a prompt. But what I'm going to do is I assigned a different kind of prompt group for each one of my numbers. So if I roll a 1, I have to pull from this little teacup, which is book types. So this could include the length of the book. It could even include a genre of the book. It can include where the book has to be from, like a library or if it's a store, kind of things like that. Now if I roll a 2, I pull from this one, which is my original cup, and these are book tropes. So if you don't know what a trope is, it's just kind of the plot points or kind of the general plot that a lot of people see in various books. So we have things from like love triangles to The Chosen One, Golden Trio, Bad Boy, kind of things like that. It looks like there's not that many in here, but there's like a good handful. So number 2 is your trope. If I roll a 3, I will be pulling from this one. This is a Narnia portable like tea/coffee mug that I got from a fairy loot, because this is these settings, so it just has to deal with the setting. So maybe it has to take place at a school, maybe it has to take place in a country outside of the US, or a specific era. So this is my settings one. If I roll a 4, I pick from this one. This one has to deal with the cover of the book. So this would have to be challenges like a specific color on the book, a specific thing about the title, or it has to deal with like a face on the cover or specific aspects to that. So it's like the physical outside of the cover. Maybe I have to pick a beautiful cover. Maybe I have to pick an ugly cover. Things like that. Now if I roll a 5, that means I get to choose from any of the ones that I want to have it a little bit more fun that way. So it's Caitlin's pick. I get to pick whichever container that I want. And lastly, if I roll a 6, I pull from this mug. This is my random mug. So it has basically a lot of prompts that I didn't really know where else to put them. So this could be a genre specific thing again. There might be some prompts that are in more than one containers, just because they might have they might kind of go with both of them. So I'm very excited about this, and I'm excited to kind of see what you guys think about this. Also, if you have any prompts, please give me all of your prompt ideas below. I have 5 jars, and some of them have a lot more than others. So like my settings doesn't really have that many, and my tropes, I don't have that many. So they don't have to be like specific YA prompts. They can just be prompts in general. I picked from a few readathons. I thought of my own prompts. I watched a lot of TBR game videos and wrote down some ideas that way. So if you think of any fun prompts, please let me know down below in the comments. With that whole kind of spiel through, we are going to really quickly talk about the books that I was required to read last month. So I only physically have 5 of them with me, so I will talk about the ones that I rented from my library first. The one that I was required to read was Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, and I read that one. I was also supposed to read Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I read that one. The third library book I was supposed to read was Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchelson, and I did not complete that. This month has been crazy, as everyone knows, and so a 1,000-page book was the least of my worries, so I will hopefully read that in the future. But for this month, I'm not going to give myself any penalties because it's a library book. But if you have any ideas for penalties, please let me know down below. And then the last one I just couldn't even get a hold of was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I don't know why I couldn't get a hold of it physically at my library or even on like Overdrive or Libby. I couldn't find it anywhere, so I'm going to hopefully purchase that in the future or rent it in the future, but I'm not worried about it right now. But the 5 physical books that I was required to read were The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I did read this one. Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I did read this one. Mouse Volume 1 by Art Spiegelman. I did read this one. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I did read this one. One that I haven't read yet was The Warrior Era by Cinda Williams-Chima. It is the 28th of March, so I have like 3 days to complete it, so I'm definitely going to be able to finish this. So that is pretty good. I have a few days. I'm very excited to start this book. The last thing that I want to update before we get on into the actual roles is I'm going to be participating in the Owls Readathon that is hosted by G over at the Book Roast. I did already post a TBR for that. I think I have like 7 or 8 books and I'm required to read for that, so I'm going to try to fit like 2, 3 at absolute max, because I don't want to have this whole video be all those books, but I would like to be able to not go too crazy. Because now the last thing we got to do before we get on to the spins is pick out the color that we're going to start with. So I have this spin the wheel app, and we will just pick out, we'll spin it, and whatever color that it lands on, that is going to be the color that we will start on. Okay, so we will be starting on the color blue, which is our classics. Alrighty, so the color generator brought us to blue, so we will be starting on blue. So roll number 1. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are going to be reading a fantasy first. Alright, so our first roll we got a 6, which brought us to the yellow, which is our fantasy. So because we got a 6, we will be pulling from the random mug. So this one probably has the most prompts in it, just because there was a lot that I didn't really know where to put them. So we have a TV or film adaptation. Okay, so the book I'm going to choose for the TV or film adaptation for a fantasy book is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This is, first of all, one of the books that I have to read for my readathon, but also I would have been reading this anyways, because in the beginning of January I started every month and rereading the next book in the series, so it is going to be April. That is the 4th month, so 4th book. So I'd still be reading it anyways if I wasn't doing the readathon, but this was obviously turned into film. The whole series was obviously turned into a film series, so this fits perfectly. So this is going to be my first book that I'm picking for the month. Roll number 2. A 3. 1, 2, 3. Another fantasy. Roll number 2, we got a 3, which still brought us to fantasy. So 3 is setting, so let's figure out what kind of setting we have to choose for a fantasy. Has to be set at the sea or on a ship. This one's also really perfect as well. So this one is Dark Shores by Danielle L. Jensen. This is another book that I have to read for the readathon. And this is called Dark Shores. And so this one obviously takes place at a shore, which is basically the sea. So this has to deal with a pirate, a soldier, and like a dangerous quest. So they basically have to cross the endless seas. So I'm gonna guess that these three characters come together for some kind of joint mission. So that is good that I could fit this one in as well. Roll number 3, a 1. We have to re-roll again. Another 3, 1, 2, 3. So a contemporary or romance. Roll number 3, we first got a 1, which brought us to a gray space. So we had to roll again, and we got another 3. So this brought us to contemporary or romance. Now, the thing about like the double rolling, what I'm just going to do is add them divided by 2. So we were just going to pick from 2, which is our tropes. So let's figure out what kind of trope we're going to read for a contemporary or romance, and then figure out which one of them we're going to go with. So the trope that we have are star-crossed lovers. I'm going to go with the reread, and that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. So this book I read last year, and I absolutely loved it. This book is obviously about a circus, or more specifically a night circus. So this night circus basically just kind of pops up at random different towns. There is like no warning, it just kind of pops up. It's there for a few nights, pops down, and goes to another town. But this is kind of the whole background of the story. So it's about a girl named Celia and a boy named Marco, and basically they are each other's competition for this just huge in general competition by their like trainers, or basically people who have taught them what they know, and they are just immediately pinned against each other, and there's romance elements to it. And so I would consider them to be star-crossed lovers. So I'm very excited to reread this. This one has become one of my favorite books probably of all time, and I'm so upset that it took me this long to read it, because like I said, I probably read it around fall last year, but I am so excited to read it again because I just loved it so much. Roll number 4, a 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in other, roll number 4, we got a 5, which brought us to green, or in other. So for this one, we're first going to pick, because it got a 5, we can choose whatever we want. So I think that I'm going to choose book type, because this hopefully can help me figure out what type of book that I want to read, or other. A series. Okay, so for an other series, I'm gonna go with like a middle grade children's series. I don't really know what the difference is, but that is the name of this book is Secret by Pseudomus Bosch, I believe is how you pronounce it. This is a book that I read when I was in elementary school, and I absolutely loved it. It's a, like I said, children middle grade series that is more, which is just filled with mysteries, and it was just so much fun. I read the first 3 books, which I actually have the first 3 books, and so I'm excited to reread those, as well as hopefully continue on with these series. But yeah, I don't really remember too much about it, except just loving it. So I'm very excited to kind of have this book and read it, because it's just one of my, probably my all-time favorite books. So this is going to be the other that I pick for the series. Roll number 5, a 2, 1, 2. So another other. Okay, so editing me realized that I completely messed up. So while I was filming, I realized that I missed a roll, and so I was trying to like go through my notes, and I did roll number 6 2 times, which was the setting one. I actually picked 2 different ones for roll number 6. So the first one I originally picked was A Study in Charlotte for my takes place in a school, and then I rolled again and I had to take place in a city. So I'm going to stick with this one because this is my original one. So you're going to see this one in the end, but so I have to figure out a book based on a trope. So this one's actually going to be the hardest because I need to make sure that it's an other. So this one I just picked up was a character has an ability. So let's quickly look. So for the Owls Readathon, I already have to read The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. So I obviously don't know if this is 100% because I don't remember what happened, but I'm going to possibly, if it's part of the Percy Jackson This one's the Heroes of Olympus, so I'm going to assume they have some kind of abilities. But I'm going to go with the second book, which is The Son of Neptune, in this horrible beat-up cover that I got. So this is going to be the book that I will be reading for rule number 3, which was the other, and the character has an ability. So completely disregard angels and demons. I will be reading this one instead. Finally, rule number 6 is a 3, 1, 2, 3. That means that we will be adding a roll. Oh, in number 6, we got a 3, which brought us still to green, and we got another other. So this is the third 3 that we got, so we will be adding a roll. But since we got a 3, we're going to be figuring out what kind of other book we are going to read based on what setting it's going to be on. So it has to be set in a school. I'm going to choose for an other that is set place at a school is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. So this is basically kind of like, not a retelling per se, but kind of based on Sherlock Holmes and Watson. So this is about a girl named Jamie Watson, and she gets sent to Shearingford, which is a Connecticut prep school. I know it's like a mystery book. I think there's like a few more in like the series, or I don't know if it's like a series or if it's kind of like Anne of the French Kiss, where we like meet a new character every time, but they kind of revolve about the same group of people. But I'm actually very excited to read this because I've been obviously into mysteries, so I'm excited to read that one. Roll number 7, a 1, so we will be rolling again, another 1. Means we've had 3 1s, so we'll be adding a roll and a classic. Roll number 7, we first got a 1, which brought us to the gray space. So we rolled again and got another 1, which means that we will be adding another roll. And so we're just going to pick from 1. We're now in classics. So the type of classic we are going to read is if I can open it with my fingers, a standalone classic. Okay, that should actually be easy because a lot of classics are standalones. So the standalone classic that I'm going to read is Anna Karenina by, I think it's Leo Tolstoy. I have the digital version on my phone, so I'll be reading that as an ebook, but I'm very excited to read that one, so we are going to be reading that standalone classic. Final roll, roll number 8, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we will be rolling again. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Adding a fantasy. Oh. And another roll. Thank you so much for the 6. Roll number 8, we first got a 6, which brought us to another gray space, and we rolled an additional 6, which means we are going to be adding a roll, and this brought us to fantasy. So we are going to be picking from 6, which is the random one. So we have books and music. This one I'm actually really excited about. So basically I'm just going to go on my phone. I have Spotify, and I'm just going to go to all of my liked songs, and we are going to shuffle it, and the first song that comes up, I just have to pick a book that I think best corresponds. It could be with the cover, so if I think the cover matches the cover album, or if it just kind of has the same kind of genre or whatnot. So it's going to be fantasy, and shuffle. Titanium by David Guetta. So for the books and music, I got, like I said, Titanium by David Guetta and Sia. And for this, I'm choosing Rebel Spring by Morgan Rhodes. This is the second book in the Fallen Kingdom series. So I picked this one for a few reasons. One, it's got a red cover. It has red, and this is red, but also kind of the point of the song. So I obviously read the first book, so I just feel like it kind of fits. So I will be reading this fantasy, which I'm really excited about because I want to complete the series as fast as I can. So we're going to choose that one. Okay, hopefully this is our final roll. Roll number 9. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another contemporary / fantasy. And finally we are here, roll number 9. We rolled a 4, which brought us back to contemporary and romance. So because we got a 4, we're going to go based on the cover. So we have pink on the cover, so this book has to just have some kind of pink on the cover. Right, so I actually picked the one that I'm going to pick. So that is Waiting for Tom Hanks by Carrie Winfrey, I believe is how you pronounce the last name, Winfrey. So this book, I don't really know too much about it. I just saw it on Instagram, and so I wrote it down for books that I wanted to read, and I'm going to check this out from my library, hopefully, for my overdrive. I think I looked up the summary of it. I think it's about a girl who is obsessed with rom-coms and is just waiting for her Tom Hanks to kind of come into her life, so that will be interesting. So that is going to be the one that I'm choosing for the contemporary / romance one. Alrighty, so this is 7 out of the 9 books that I'm going to be reading this month, along with Anna Karenina and Waiting for Tom Hanks on my phone. So this is what we have. We kind of have a nice stack. I'm very excited. It's very fantasy and mystery driven, which, I mean, sounds great to me. So yeah, that has been my April TBR Trouble. I hope you guys like the kind of new advancements of it. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. I would love to hear them. Subscribe to my channel if you like this video and want to see more from me in the future. Otherwise, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.